Right, good morning everyone and welcome to this webinar on nature tourism. My name is Andy Fairbairn from the Nordic Tourism Collective, and together with my colleague Paul Wagner, we'll be your hosts for the next hour or so, where we'll be talking and looking at the growing emergence and importance of nature tourism. We're very pleased to have a number of representatives and experts with us today from various parts of the Nordics and the Baltic regions. And we look forward to hearing their views and their thoughts a little shortly. Just before we start, a couple of housekeeping notes. Obviously, this has been recorded, so we can watch this back whenever you want. If you have a question, please put your questions into the chat, and then we'll try and take the questions as we go along. And we just look forward to an engaging session, and we're looking forward to it. So, Paul, over to you. Who do we have with us this morning?
Thank you very much, Andy. Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name's Paul Wagner, and I'm delighted to introduce fabulous panelists from the Baltic and Nordic region today on nature tourism. First of all, hello to Asnati Zimele, who is the president of Baltic Country Holidays. Good morning in Latvia. A good morning also to Sylvia Adams, founder of Amazing Nature Scandinavia, based in sunny Sweden. Matisse Babris, president of Latvian Nature Tourism Association. Good morning, Matisse. And finally, Osmund Bakker, owner of Folgefonni Glacier team based in Hardanger in Western Norway. So fantastic panel we have here today. So I'm now going to kick us off and ask Asnati, who's going to sort of set the scene for us on nature tourism with a presentation. And she's going to share her screen with us right now and kick us off. Over to you, Asnati.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and I'm happy to be here and welcome everyone from the Baltic countries. I am sitting in Riga in Latvia, but I represent today Latvia and Estonia, and I will just try to tell how we in Baltics think that why nature tourism, why Baltics, and why it is important, and what we can experience altogether in the nature in the Baltics and our region generally. My name is Asnat. I'm representing Baltic Country Holidays. It's actually a marketing and product development organization. We are working with different schemes for the moment. Very active on the nature tourism, and we are having a member organization. We are having 400 members, entrepreneurs, and so we know them everyone personally. So we are very keen of getting them on the market. This particular nature tourism actually came to our mind as one of the resources in the Baltics and the Nordic countries generally, which is the unique selling points for us. This is our belief. And why? We are truly believing that nature tourism is for local economy development, very, very important. It is small entrepreneurs which are offering the services. It is very good for the society, also locally, and also those who are coming to us. It's active tourism, it's fresh air, it's good food, it's local people, local values, and this is sustainable tourism. So those who are providing the services loves the place they live in, and so they care for their services and environment, as well as those who are enjoying the product also cares to leave the same quality behind them. And of course, it's also while you are hiking the trail or while you are on your kayaking tour, you of course learn something about the environment, and this is so important nowadays. Why Baltics? We are part of the Nordic area in the Europe, and just the examples I have here on my slides is different maps, just to try to prove that I'm correct what I say, what I believe. That the nature here, it's the green map is the forest map. It's the forested areas, and you see that we have a bit more forest than maybe Southern Europe and other areas of Europe. We maybe have more nature available for our visitors, our tourists. We have a low population. The red map is showing the population density in each country. So we have a little little people living here to compare with the area we can provide for tourism. And we have a lot of space already 30 minutes from Riga center. You are in the deep forest, deep countryside and deep nature. On the right side is Amsterdam, not just to compare. It's nothing bad about Amsterdam. So we came up with putting up the products and services in the nature because, of course, it should be packaged. We try to be pragmatic and constructive and how the tours would be for interest for the tourism. So first of all, it's a wildlife, which we have a very rich in Baltics. It's a mammal watching, it's a bird watching, all kind of sea animals you can enjoy by the boat. It's active tourism, hiking, bog shoe walking, kayaking, biking, all of it. It happens in the nature. So that these tours we also have on our portal. It's a soul tours, which we are very proud of. We here in Baltics know very much about the herbs, about the wildlife, about the wild food, which we eat, which we recognize, which we know how to use. And of course, we are very proud of our sauna, and sauna masters is something we can provide to you to really experience our sauna culture. We also offer a bit of nature extreme. Of course, maybe not the cliffs as in Norway and not the deep fjords, but still we have a lot of interesting activities, hot air balloons and the flying in the air and the longest in Europe zip line and all kind of nature extreme experiences if you like to. And these are examples of how you see that everyone in the tour. This is example of the brown bear watching from the height. So you get into the contact with the provider itself, but just to be sure that he answers in time, we are behind it, and we as a portal, we see if everything goes right in your request, and if the answer is in time and satisfactory. And another example is from Latvia, hiking with the taste. We are very happy also to provide food in the forest on the firewood, and this is experience which I think the tourists nowadays are looking more and more forward. Not anymore the experiences everyone could experience in New York and Paris and Los Angeles, but something else, something different, something more real and wild maybe. So we have at the moment we have around 100 products on the website, on the portal from Estonia and Latvia, but it's ongoing process. It's more and more, it's very, very local, very checked providers. We are training them, we are checking them, we are providing the hints and the advice for them to get better. And yeah, and I hope we all together explore the Baltic nature. We do everything that you like it. So please see our balticnaturetourism.com website and yeah, let us know how you like it. Thank you very much. That was all from my side.
Thank you very much, Nati. Very interesting. Really appreciate that. I think it just shows that there are parts of Europe that are very much undiscovered and sustainable in their very nature. And I think it's really interesting to hear the kind of different types of nature tourism. It's not just wildlife. It's not just activity. There's so much to it. And these experiences and experiential travel is what everybody's talking about. So thank you very much for that, Asnate.
Can I just ask a question, Paul? Asnate, just a question which occurred to me while I was watching your presentation. Yeah. So just for clarification for anybody watching, your association is a collaboration of individual providers who all provide different nature travel services in Latvia and Estonia. Which came first? Was it sort of, did these providers decide that they wanted to start working together to provide a common platform, or did someone say, why don't you guys come together and create a common platform? Which way around did it come? I'm just intrigued to see how it came.
It's always like a boss. We saw that there is a big offer and which and also these entrepreneurs which we knew, and Matti is is the head of the Latvian Nature Tourism Association, which unites all these entrepreneurs, and we have entrepreneurs of the guest houses and catering services. So we saw a quite rich offer what they had, but to pack it together in the uniformed way, so that the tourists totally don't get lost of one website to another. So we saw as organizations that we have to help them to get on in the same way, the same kind of, so that the tourists can easy click, book and buy these services, and realize that nature is not just maybe wildlife watching or hiking, but it's a lot more. And we are really proud of our knowledge in the Baltics. So we sought to provide and actually sort also what our providers and entrepreneurs offered in a structural way. And I believe that it needs someone who does it for everyone, and then that the offer gets much more the same way, the easy understand, the easy to book, and easy to experience.
And I suppose once a few people start joining together, then it starts to mushroom, and it starts to people. Hey, this is a great idea. Let's be part of this as an association. Thank you, Znate. Paul, sorry.
Sure, thank you, Znate. Yeah, let's go to Sweden now. Over to Sylvia, who's gonna tell us a little bit about her setup in southern Sweden. Over to you, Sylvia.
Hi, good morning. I'm Sylvia Adams. I'm the founder of Amazing Nature Scandinavia, which is a sustainable incoming tour operator for Sweden and also partly for Northern Norway for returning customers. So I make bespoke itineraries for European FITs, both B2B and B2C, with a focus on nature tourism off the beaten track. As you can see, I mostly offer soft adventure. It can be photography course, rail biking, kayaking, canoeing, hiking, wildlife safaris like moose, beaver, wolf safaris. It can be building your own raft, your timber raft, to float it down the river. It can be joining a knowledgeable guide for mushroom picking and then preparing food like an outdoor cooking workshop with ingredients from an organic farm and surrounding farms. In my opinion, as an incoming tour operator, I think that accommodation and activities should go hand in hand. Why do I say that? Because it's more sustainable if you work with accommodations where people can do a lot of activities on the spot without having to drive their car to another place. Like, they will stay longer if there is more to do around the accommodations. So as a tour operator, I never go for just accommodations or just activities. I try to find the perfect combination and duration. And as you can see, winter is coming. We already have snow in northern Sweden, but also partly in central Sweden. So there is a lot of interest for winter activities, dog sledding, northern lights tours, snowshoe hikes. So I try to find the perfect combination to what the customer's interests are and what my local partners can provide. Please get in touch if you want to know more.
Super, thanks very much, Sylvia. We'll be talking about the accommodation and the importance of accommodation and related to nature tourism a little bit later in the panelist discussion. But thanks very much, Andy. Any questions for Sylvia, or all super clear? I think.
No, it looks fantastic. It looks very sort of. I mean, my impression of that, it looks very outward bound. Does that limit the type of people who would purchase a break in one of your on one of your tours or trips? Would that, I mean, do you have to be sort of fit and hardy, and do you have to have all the gear and the clobber? And are you limiting your market by making it only available to people who are prepared to be hardy, or is it more general than that?
It's more general than that. It depends on the interest. Of course, I also offer city trips to Stockholm. But as this webinar is about nature tourism, I wanted to show the nature activities. Yes. But I have more than just nature activities, of course.
Thank you. I think we'll be talking about the type of clients and sort of the ages and the segments a little bit later. But thanks, Sylvia. It really does look, as you call it, an amazing nature product. Okay, thanks, Sylvia. And now to Matisse in Riga, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Latvia nature tourism. Over to you.
Hello, I would just like to remind everyone that winter is coming. It's getting cold outside, but in Latvian Nature Tourism Association, we say that it is the end of amateur season and the real adventures can begin. So what we do in winter, we do everything that we do in summer, sometimes even in the same clothes. You can see we do kayaking tours. This is from last season. It's really good. We say that mosquitoes are not biting in winter, and also people like to take photos because the light is so much better. Like nature, snow is serving like a big reflector. And of course, there is a lot of, as Asnat mentioned before, there are a lot of wildlife you can see. This photo is actually taken not with a drone, but with a hot air balloon. So we also fly in winter. And the good thing is that in winter you use less gas. So it's actually much more affordable and you can do longer flight. In Europe, you can see that there is a lot of indication that the tourism is doing quite well. Unfortunately, not yet here, but this is a good thing because you can see nature as it is. We also have people who really wait for you, who actually are excited to see you. And we haven't yet had this problem of our tourism. And we are trying to be preventative about it. So we design our experiences so they can cater to different types of people and different scales. So we say there's plenty of space for everyone in Baltic countries. And the reference I frequently use is when Michelin started, they did tires, of course, and they had these very funny costumes. But the interesting thing is they also had this Michelin restaurant guide, and they had this 1, 2, and 3 stars. 1 star was just a good restaurant, but 3 stars was it was worth driving and burning tires, buying new ones later to just have this amazing cook. And like to say that Latvia is worth a special journey, a nice detour, and we have a lot of unique experiences. You can do treehouse building in teams. You have a lot of hikes and concerts in nature. You can do bog jumping, like here are like therapy wise. We have a lot of pack raft. We go into out into the sea. This is actually exploring islands near the sea. You even have these self-made vehicles. A lot of Latvians do, like this is 100 euros per day rental. You can hike the coastal trail and your grandma can drive in this electrical vehicle. This weekend we had a few grandmas in it. They enjoyed it. Like we couldn't get it out of there. And of course we have sauna, hot tubs near the sea. It's a very long coastline. So you are very welcome to come here. About me, I'm head of Latvian Nature Tourism Association. We are part of Baltic tourism group. And I personally also do research. So currently I'm finishing my PhD on how to sell experiences with nature tourism. So kind of try to look at tourism through numbers and statistics. But at the end of the day, this conclusion is that this market shift today is also these immersive and experiential qualities. So it's quite interesting to see that Andy and Paul have arrived at the same conclusion, which just prove that it works. And here are some of the providers which can give you these experiences. And I'm happy to share more in the question panel. Thank you all.
Brilliant. Thanks, thanks, Matisse. You shouldn't have told us about your PhD and you're an expert in experiential. We'll be asking you to join us for many future webinars after that.
I'm very available. Dissemination is very needed. Yeah. Okay.
And some great photos there. The variety of products that you have is quite exceptional. Just to ask you a question, what sort of duration would you to get a really good feel of an experience, at least a start of what you can offer? How many days would you recommend somebody to stay? Was it a couple of days where you'll get a good base of all the different type of activities and nature available? What would you say?
To explore Latvia, there is this very good scientific paper, actually. It's called 3-day effect. If you want to really rest, you have to spend 3 days in nature, and then your mental state, stress, and everything else can reset. That being said, what we have seen also is these kind of jump in and out adventures. Sometimes people just come in and they go to the bog for 4 hours. but the walking in bog is very strenuous, and they see a lot of pictures, they'll do a lot of photo shoots, and they kind of feel that this gives them, you know, like with mobile phones, you can do slow charging and that would be 3 days, and you can do rapid charging just enough to get through to the next week. So we have actually done a lot of these 4-hour adventures too. So you come to a conference in Baltics, for example, and then you just do a little intensive nature tour and get recharged.
Yeah, so staycation is another absolutely another possibility. Again, that saves on the traveling, going more than once. So that's great. Thanks very much, Mathias. And finally, like to introduce Osmund Bakker from Hardanger in Norway, Western Norway. Osmund, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I'm the manager and also owner of a company called Folkefonny Glacier Team, and say a little bit about that company. We started in '94, 30 years ago. I was 14 years old then, so it's a long time ago now. We have never had focus on to grow and be a big company and so on. The main thing for us is to provide a great nature experience and also have a great time ourselves on the glacier. So that has been the core motivation for all these 30 years. So, but year after year, we've been growing a little bit, and now we are about 25 glacier guides. The main season is from April to October. So the season is about to end now, and then our clients, 50-50 business to business and business to customer. And we also have scientists, TV, production, and so on the glacier. Yeah, the company is owned by me and my brother. So my brother is 8 years older than me, and he was the one starting it. I was only 14 years old in '94. Values and visions has been very important for us all these years, and of course to personally enjoy it, and also when we develop new hikes, new product, it's been a core thing that we want to work with it ourselves, that we enjoy the hikes and are not bored. So that's important. So yeah, you see a map here. Bergen, the second largest city in Norway. We are located at the west coast of Norway. You see the Hardanger fjord here, which is of course the nicest fjord in the world. We have a destination company called Visit Hardanger Fjord, which covers the whole region here for marketing, and we have been cooperating very closely with them for all these 30 years. They have helped us to grow and with our marketing. Just listed up the hikes here. I'm not going to tell more about that. Just have to mention this house, our main office down in Jondal by the fjord. You see the Hardanger fjord here, kayaking directly out from here. This is an old schoolhouse. We are quite proud because we have moved it 100 meters because the location where it was not able to be anymore, and so we are quite proud of the tradition of our old house, which is now our office. Up at the glacier, we have a brand new building, inspired from buildings down in the Alps. Can be here in rough conditions, 1,200 meters above sea level. And to be on the glacier, that's a thing you just have to experience to understand. It's something totally different from anything else in this world. And personally, after 30 years, I get moved just by being there in that landscape, colors, formations. It's just great. So we have both hikes where we walk on the glacier, but we also have kayaking where we paddle to the glacier edge. Also have bicycle trips and so on. Yes, thank you.
Super, thank you, Osmund. Looks quite amazing as well, and a different type of nature tourism in terms of the glacier and using nature. There's a lot of TV programs we're watching now where news about glaciers melting, especially up in Greenland and in North and South Pole. Does this give a renewed interest in coming to kind of mainstream country like Norway and being able to experience it firsthand? Are people nervous, for example, that there won't be so many glaciers in 10, 20 years time? What's the feeling and interest in the moment?
Yeah, it's definitely an interest, because the glacier is a climate indicator, and so all of us now we know the climate is in change, so we can see it on the glacier. It's big changes. When we started in '94, the glacier were actually growing because of increased participation. We got more snow, and it was actually in a phase. These glaciers on the west coast in Norway were actually growing for a few years, but now since 2001 till now, we see one trend, and it's melting down. And what we do out of it is to share knowledge about it, because it's quite interesting to a glacier, how it has been back in time, can tell us how the climate has been. So a glacier is one of the best climate indicators, and it's an archive. It can actually tell us how the climate has been back in time, which is very important to understand what's happening now with the climate, and also how it can be, and so they can predict the future. So we use the that the glacier is a climate indicator in a positive way, not that people are feeling guilty because they have been coming with a plane to Norway and so on. But of course, we have focus, as mentioned also here, that we try to get the footprint as low as possible. So keep people in Hardanger for a week or two. There are plenty of things to do, and also slow down, and also regarding transportation. So that's a focus for us, and also for other cooperating companies in the region.
I think it's really interesting, the educational value of nature tourism as well. And I think we saw it also in the Baltics and also in Sweden, that when you're coming and getting away from the busy lives and the busy cities, and you're coming to nature, there's so much you can learn about, one, about climate, two, about what we can do in the very nature and the wildlife, etc. And I think this education on biodiversity and all these sort of things adds to the element and the experience of nature tourism. So I wanted to ask the panel the first question. Since the COVID lockdown, since we've come out and emerged from COVID, is there a renewed interest in nature tourism? Can you see and you feel in your experience? Maybe I could ask Sylvia that one.
Yes, I have always focused a bit on nature tourism, so I can only see that it is growing every year. The interest is growing. These last years, people wanted to combine, like, stay out in nature with a multi-day visit to a bigger city. But the trend for next year seems to be that they want to avoid the bigger cities at all costs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Similar feeling with you, Esnati? How's the interest since COVID?
Yeah, I must say that we see the people are used to travel now more individually and in a smaller groups. They are escaping the big groups, we used to have a request to go in the rural areas, like groups of 40, which we had the problem to accommodate and also take care of. And also the feeling of rural areas with the big group is a bit wrong. you cannot enjoy it so much. And so now people, I think they know much more about the nature, and they value much more the nature. They understood that this is an escape, and this is very, very important that it exists, and it's also for the sustainability and the environmental education. Is COVID has done a lot, so I think we understand where we are and what is values for us much more than before, and the request is absolutely going towards us, away from the big cities. I agree with Sylvia.
I think that's a very good thought. I remember during COVID when we were all sitting at home in our gardens and we could hear the birds for the first time, and thinking, wow, that's really amazing that there really is nature everywhere. But I think you used the word escape, Esnati. I think escaping from cities, escaping from busy lives is what people are looking for. What about you, Matisse? Have you seen a growing interest since COVID last couple of years?
Yeah, the interesting trend is that we also see, adding to all the other speakers, that companies start to go, like if they before went to this, I don't know, paintball or something, you know, like corporate getaway, now more and more companies, especially IT companies, are doing nature tours with their teams. And sometimes they're not very large teams, maybe that's only their executive team, etc. But during this stay over, they kind of sit in sauna or go on a hike and kind of walk and talk, and kind of, it's like not a forced team building, but we see this demand for that type of nature tourism also growing. So it's for us, we are happy with every person, especially for business people to come in nature, and also they are willing to pay a higher price. So that's a good sector to target too.
I think that's really interesting, the corporate sector on that. And you know, I think it's the duty of companies now to really think about the well-being of their staff. And no better way than going on a bog and talking and being at one with nature. No, really interesting. Thank you. Osmond, any observations your side regarding changes since COVID?
Yeah, first I want to say that in the COVID year, then we had in 2019 we had 80% of our guests were from other countries than Norway. Then the borders were closed, so it was a total change. So in 2020 we had 100% Norwegians. So the Norwegian market increased a lot, and then when it opens up again, I was surprised of how fast things went back to normal. And we have the Norwegian market, and the other market is back, I would say, and also increased. And so it's increasing definitely. And the trend we can see after the COVID is maybe that more people choose to have their own private guide, because we always offer to join a group, or you can have a private guide. So more and more families, they choose to, instead of join a larger group, they have their own private group, and that's fine. That's a good thing for us. So yeah.
Super. Thank you. Can I ask also about the type of travel? You alluded to it there, Osmond, about the new sector, the family sector. Are you all finding that there's a lot of younger people and Gen Z, for example, or are there still quite a lot of more elderly travelers looking for the nature? What's the sort of different segments that you're getting the interest in nowadays? Maybe Osmond, you can carry on as you.
Yeah. It has the last 10 years, I would say, changed from 10 years ago. It was more older people maybe, but now it's younger and younger. But still, I would say from 25 or so and up, and a lot of and it's related to social media also, influencers and so on. So it has changed, and what we are doing to guide people on a glacier was 30 years ago. It was a special thing for special people, if you understand. But now it's been more mainstream, and it's in Norway here. It's and I guess also in the rest of Europe, it's more like we have television program where we have competition out in the nature, people, and also all the equipment, the clothing. We have seen a huge development on that. People from Netherlands 30 years ago, they had never been walking anywhere else than asphalt and or city, but now they are very good hikers, as good as Norwegians, if you understand. And it's yeah, so it's been a big change over 30 years, and but also especially the last 10 years with. And I believe social media is a factor also.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. Andy, you look like you had a question there or a
Well, no, I'm just intrigued by that social media. So that was just thrown into the conversation, almost like a throwaway line there. But that's quite interesting in terms of the marketing side of all of this, because social media now is such a large part of everyone's marketing arsenal. And so can you elaborate on that a little bit, Osman? I mean, just why is it the Instagram factor, or is it the fact that people are now looking for experiential experiences which they can then share, or can you just explain a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah, what we see is that social media makes people doing just following the stream, which is, I would say, personally, I feel it a little bit strange because we can see that a totally unknown, not very special thing like a lake or a color in a lake can suddenly over the night be very famous, and you can suddenly get 30,000 people that just to take a picture and then leave. So it's a little bit, so the destination companies, the marketing companies need to be very, yeah, they need to know what they're doing, because if you do things wrong there and you get too many people compared with what it's, what capacity you have and so on, then you can actually destroy your destination by this. So it's powerful and a little bit scary, I would say, the social media, because it seems like it reach out to a lot of people and with the same interest, and it's scary, a little bit scary how fast things are going.
Yeah, I can see, Matisse, I think you look like there's something that you could expand on a little bit with the social media, but also the type of segments that you see in nature tourism in Latvia.
You're on mute, I think.
I'm back now. So yes, for social media, I think like this kind of the Gen Z sector is quickly getting more active. Of course, their budget and resources not always are matching up to Gen X, but what we see there are like these trends, like this walking without iPhones, where they just go for like a few kilometer tour around the city without for a lot of Gen X's, you know, you always have to be reachable, and for them, I think it is something to keep an eye on, but it's probably long-term returns if we are looking at that one. And from destinations that have been becoming more popular here, and that's quite interesting. And I think a lot of thanks to Asnat is that we see more and more people who go on these very long nature trails and distances. They take weeks, sometimes even a month to cover, for example, Baltic coastline. We talk to these local operators like cafe, restaurant owners. They see a real increase all seasons from clients that go on these long trails. And for them, it's, and I think what helps fuel it is this post-COVID tendency of revenge travel, but there is this negative way of revenge travel where you go to the farthest, most challenging possible destination without preparing a lot, you know. But there is this good approach of revenge travel where you go on a very long distance adventure, probably close to your local venue. You don't use transport like cars or trains. You just walk and you do really long trails, 1,000 kilometers and more. And that's a nice trend I like to see, because then they spend a lot of money, you know. They look at them like little money bags walking.
Local community, looking after local community companies for sure. Sylvia, any thoughts about your age of your customer in Sweden these days? Is it changing since since the end of COVID?
Not really. I would say that I reach people over 35, mostly families with 2 or 3 children, or then people above 55. I don't reach the younger generation, and I think that's because of Scandinavia, and my products are not so cheap like in Southern Europe and so. And when it comes to social media, I think because I reach or I try to have off the beaten track accommodation and activities, those destinations don't really have a lot of budget because they don't have a lot of tourists, so they don't do a lot of marketing. So I don't have that problem with like over touristy spots or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And Asnate, your observations in terms of international travelers and the age groups and the segments that are most interested now in your products.
Yeah, as Mattis mentioned, we actually opened these long distance hiking trails, Forest Trail and Baltic coastal hiking, which one is 1,200 and another is 200, which go 2,000 kilometers long, which goes through all 3 Baltic states, and that's a long distance hiking trails and belongs to the e-passes of Europe. And it was just a coincidence. We opened them during the COVID, and they got extremely popular. We were several times in Lonely Planet as the destination of the world, And I see that this is a trend for especially for the young people. We have a lot of solo travelers. They really hike alone, and that's a bit scary for me, old people, old lady. But this is seems to be a nowadays trend. People are tired from and stressed from the work, and it's more and more trend to go on the nature. And they do hike, they'll do it for a long time. Some of them even run these 2,000 kilometers for a month or so. And I see that we actually, it is really trendy to be healthy nowadays. They look for healthy food, healthy activities, healthy destinations. And there, I think the Nordic countries and Baltics can say something and can offer something. I really believe that we are on the really good situation nowadays when the big part of Europe is boiling during the summer. We are not. We have 4 seasons, and there was a question actually on the question and answer sections. I read what you do with the cancellations of the bad weather. I believe, and I so far my experience goes, they never cancel the tours except the storm or something extreme going on. But if it's just the rain, nature tourists are actually never looking for the for the sun holidays, for extremely nice weather and leisure. So I don't think nature travel experience so much cancellations than anywhere else in the tourism sector. So we have a rain clothes, we have a good jackets, we have like Osman said, equipment so developed that and the nature in the Baltic and nature in Nordic, we know what the tourists know what they are looking for and what they are willing to experience. So I think the trend is towards us.
But it's very interesting because I was going to ask about this all year round concept of nature tourism, that it's I could see that many of the presentations showed a lot of winter products. So the fact that many people would have naturally thought that nature tourism is in the spring and in the summer when you've got the bogs are all clear and you can reach all different areas. It's obviously the case to me, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that nature tourism is absolutely an all year round destination. Maybe there's not a month, not a soft period, and maybe there's a slushy period and dark period, but that doesn't mean it doesn't also have its advantages and nuances. So maybe that's something you guys can expand on a little. Sylvia, would you say you have a low season or a soft period during the year?
I would never advise customers to come to Sweden in November, because it's quite dark and gray and rainy. When it comes to like weather or a soft period, the Christmas holidays is getting a bit of an issue, I would say, because that's a time where a lot of families can travel. But with climate change, it's very hard to be sure of winter activities. So for certain winter activities, you need a lot of snow. And these last years, we have higher and higher temperatures, less snow, less predictable snow. Like now it's snowing in northern Sweden. That's not always the case. So January and February are great, but December can be a bit of an uncertainty. And especially if you need a lot of snow, then you can say you can go skating instead, but not everyone is that flexible.
Okay, so that's an issue then, that that there are certain programs and certain itineraries that you need a snowy condition. So but I guess you can adapt, and the fact that you could come up with skating or some type of healthy hiking instead of a snowy environment could be a solution. Matisse, what are your thoughts about all year round, and is there times where you would say no, don't come here?
My previous background is in IT, and we used to say like it's not a bug, it's a feature. So here I have transferred this. So we do, for example, in this November time, we'll do night hikes where people use flashlights to look around the nature. It makes for interesting photos and stories, and also kind of it's easier to keep the group together because they are a little bit afraid to wander off, because in summer everyone runs away and then you are like looking after a bunch of sheep. So in this sense, I would say it really depends on what you promise. If you promise snow, it's a very bad thing to do. For example, also for water tourists, we never say you will be safe. We say accidents happen, but we have done everything to make you safe, And here we also do the same approach. We don't promise snow, but we promise an interesting adventure and kind of emphasize that you, for example, dark can also be interesting. You can hear the sounds of the forest. So we do this quiet mile where they can't talk to each other and they have to switch off the lights and try to navigate the darkness and mud with their 4 other senses, and it's quite interesting. So I think it's just you have to be very specific about the target segment, which are you targeting, and also you have to make your offer around that. It's like kind of making them a feature, not kind of trying to say no, it's fine, pushing it under the rug. So we are kind of taking the rug away and showing it as something very special.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. I love the innovative approach there. Osmond, obviously your product is very much a summer product in terms of hiking on the glacier. Do you offer other products around Hardanger, around the glacier during the winter period as well, or is it pretty much closed?
Yeah, we offer skiing and also snowshoeing, and it's a growing market. And but it is a big change. Let's say mid-September, beginning of October, because then the European tourists, single tourists, they are finished with their vacation, so we can see then there's a change in what clients we have. So we go then over more to school classes and so on. So yeah, so we definitely have a soft it's more quiet in the winter time definitely. So the main season where we earn most of our money is from April till October.
Sure. But that's just the very nature of glaciers, that you need to see them when it's a safe.
Yeah, but we year after year the shoulders are stretched out. So we start earlier every year and we stop later. But I believe that's the way we till the end we'll have activities all year round.
That's what we like to hear. Excellent. And finally, Esnate, on this one, pretty much all year round, as far as you're concerned, with your products over Latvia and Estonia.
Yeah, of course, the main season is summer, but there are people who really prefer the off season, like starting from October, and of course it's less daylight. But the good thing is, of course, it's really good prices. You can find the most luxury places, which first of all are empty and available. In the summertime, you just can hope to get the seaside apartment with the view on the Baltic Sea. But in October, it's all available and for a very good price. The same for the restaurants and the food and events, and everything is more affordable. So of course, in the off season we have more our own clients, but there are the Baltic country tourists. But there is one trend because the Asia now opened recently almost, and they are traveling off season, which they never come in the summer. They come in in the spring, in the Golden Week, and or the autumn time. And for us, it is, of course, very important to have these kind of clients. And they are not looking for the sun holidays. They are looking for something they don't have, a free space and the nature and the local people, local food, local experiences. So I think it is challenge, never deny it. It is challenge to get the clients all year round. But we have products which you can observe. The bear watching, for example, is you need a night and you need a cold weather. So it's September, October, and the same with a different kind of nature products. You need different seasons for each product. So nature tourism is something which saves the seasonality in a way.
I think your comment about the price is very important. I think if we're looking to attract younger guests, to the nature and the option to have prices during winter where they're probably more adaptable to go out in the dark and experience things maybe others wouldn't. I think the price is a really important element in this whole discussion. So thank you for that. Great. Well, thanks for that, Andy. Over to you. Any questions on your side?
Well, just a few observations, really. Interesting that talking about the age groups of people who would be looking to buy or purchase a holiday or a vacation of this nature, and I think it appeals to, obviously, it appeals to younger people. I think people have a more sort of remote and flexible work environment these days, so they're more flexible to take time and do things in a way that they perhaps were not able to do before COVID or five years ago or so. So I think that's interesting. So I can see that these type of products would appeal to a younger market. I think it's also at the same time the senior market, or I would say maybe the over 50s, over 55s, are more healthy now than they ever used to be. And I think I read yesterday in the newspaper about some grandmother who was 100 years old who was parachute jumping. And I think it's, younger people and older people would be attracted to this type of product because it offers different things for different people. I can imagine an older person going on a long hike, and I can imagine a younger person glacier climbing, or I can imagine them rafting down a rapid river. So it is a product, to me, it seems a product which appeals to many different sectors. And I think that sort of leads on to the next question, really, which is really a more general question for everybody. I mean, we've only got sort of 10 minutes or so left, but two things. One is, because of the very remoteness of these products, is it difficult to get there? And I'm going to start with Silvia on this. I mean, if they want to come and visit you and stay in some of your accommodation, is it difficult to get there? Is it accessible? By the very nature of your product, you have to be remote, you have to be in the nature. Is it difficult to get there?
Yeah, it is. It is especially difficult with public transportation. So I always recommend customers to rent a car. And that's also why I want to not include too many activities and accommodations to make it as sustainable as possible, even with a car. But as I focus on Europe, a lot of customers, like 80 or 85%, come with their own car. So that's not an issue. But I wish that I could find more nature activities and accommodations at hiking distance from like a bus or a train station. And I'm working on that, but it's not so easy.
But interestingly, I think the whole idea of the different markets and the different products and the different seasons, this is not a product which it fits into any one particular category. You have products which are seasonal to the extent, if you're going to go husky sledding, then you can only do that when there's snow. If you're building rafts in it, so it's building the products around the market, and it's building the products around the customers. So I think moving on from that, is there any advice that you would, as practitioners of nature tourism, anyone who's watching this webinar today who perhaps is thinking, hey, this is something perhaps I could do, or something I could maybe sort of incorporate into my business, is there any advice that you could give? I mean, the advice that I've picked up so far is be flexible, be able to offer different products in different seasons, and be able to change your offering on a sixpence because the weather might change tomorrow. Don't overpromise, but actually overdeliver, and make sure you know your customers are, etc., etc. But is there any more advice apart from that you would offer to anyone who wants to set up, or maybe is looking to get into this particular sector of the market? And as now, I'll start with you in that question. Is there anything that you must speak to people who are interested in becoming part of your association? Is there any advice you would give to anyone who's considering that for the first time?
I think actually we have to show the diversity of the products. When we started to gather together all the offers from the small providers, which are hidden everywhere in Latvia and Estonia, in the corners of the country, and they offer fantastic tours of educational actually, to hear the nature, to feel the nature, to smell the nature. And they are just not known. And we were not so clever to put them up so far. So this is why we wrote that project and then actually came up with the idea to package them all together and all in one platform. We marketeers and we sellers, we are not always too clever to show what we have, and also to give the message what is opportunities. Be clear and open message, not to, like you said, not to oversell and not to overpromise, but to also to show the opportunities of the different seasonalities, different products, different activities, what is and today that it's so clear that people are looking for something else, something different, something which others did not do. So I think we all the professionals of the tourism sector, we have to put things much more innovative together. I'm a bit tired of seeing like also tour operators here in the Baltics packaging the same thing, and everyone is selling the same. And we try to show that it's in rural places there are so many different things. So I think yeah, I think we have to be more clever showing what we have, not being afraid that not everything is for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick question. We are running out of time, amazingly. I want to move on to accommodation very quickly. So I was intrigued, Osmond, you moved your office 100 meters, which I think is weird and bizarre, but that's fantastic at the same time. But in terms of accommodation, if you're offering nature tourism, does it mean that you have to sleep in a barn, or is what's the level of accommodation which is available? Does it vary very much? I mean, Sylvia, you give us examples of accommodation which looks very, very rural, and it's Osmond, you showed us some very sort of high tech looking sort of cabin. I'm not quite sure what that was, but it looked fantastic. Matthias, maybe I can just ask you that question. So what is the range of accommodations? Is there a whole range of stuff which is available for people to purchase?
So with accommodation, I think there's always option of sleeping in the nature, just like you are. So we start there, and we sometimes offer it. And people, like we have had one winter expedition where the clients slept without tents. Like you just give them very good sleeping bags, and you saw it as an experience that they can sleep. They wake up, they always see the stars. They are exposed to elements. There is a bonfire going. But I think the question always is what's the package? Because a lot of times we start selling commodity, and that's a very risky market to enter. It's like, selling wood or selling pens, there is a lot of competition. We try to really make this accommodation core of the nature experience. So if the experience is contrast, so for example, we do really dirty bag tour, and then we go to a spa hotel and everyone washes up, but it's important to have this journey. Or sometimes we go full wild on a store, but like there is no bog, but you go on nature trail and you sleep in tents or little camping huts, and then it's a different type of experience. But what we really recommend is thinking this journey through from very start when a person arrives at airport and to the very finish when they go back to that place, and how we can make it so it's logical and it serves like a full, like a musical piece. It has higher upper notes, and providing this intensity is quite important. And the different client groups respond to different types of them. So a lot of times we do book like these high-end hotels too. So especially for more when people need to, recharge. But a lot of times you just stay in the box. So it depends on the client, on the adventure.
Yeah, fantastic. Paul?
Yeah, just one other question that's come through is for one of you to answer. What is the next step to motivate companies in nature tourism to apply for sustainable brands? How important is this when programs are put together to have these sustainable brands? Maybe I could ask Sylvia this one.
Yes, as a sustainable tour operator, I have to work with sustainable companies. Sweden is quite sustainable, so we already have some levels. We have Swedish Welcome, which makes the companies like go forward within sustainability, and some other labels or certificates. Nature's Best is the same. It's for guides, companies, like committing themselves towards sustainability.
So you would select clients with these type of accreditations for your programs. If they didn't have these type of things, you wouldn't even consider them.
No, I wouldn't. And even if they have them, I would test them out to say if it's greenwashing or if they're really sustainable.
So we really need to motivate those that maybe have the sustainability in their grasp, but they haven't got the accreditation. Very important to motivate and find ways to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can help them with that as well, of course.
Super.
Paul, I'll quickly jump in. I just saw on my screen my presentation about the accommodation. The really important part is the toilets and to communicate that clearly, which seems like a little bit maybe funny, but that's an important point when you are staying either in hut, either in tent, etc. So people understand what type of sanitary conditions they will be in. So I would say accommodation is even less important than the sanitary kit you are offering and the level you are going for there.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you. Thank you. Andy, over to you to conclude, I think.
Well, it's 10 o'clock here in London anyway, so I think we're just about done. We could actually carry on talking for a very long time, and I'm actually quite sad to bring this to a conclusion because there's about 20 questions I still want to ask everybody, but I am conscious that people have day jobs and they need to get on. So I'd just like to thank everyone for taking part. Talking about sustainability, and obviously nature tourism is intrinsically linked to sustainability. There is actually something I should mention, which is a webinar which is coming up on the 23rd of November, which has been hosted by our colleagues at TOA, who very kindly are hosting this webinar today. It's called Viva. I'm not quite sure why it's called Viva, but it's called Viva. And it's on sourcing sustainable tourism. So it's linked to what we're talking about today. It's an online workshop. It's a half day online workshop for destinations and tourism providers looking to promote more sustainable tourism products and services. That's the 23rd of November. If anyone's interested in that, I recommend they go to atoa.org/Viva, where they can find more information about that webinar. Here now we just conclude. We just want to thank everybody for taking part. Sylvia, Asnata, Matthias, and Osmond, thank you very much. Your time is much appreciated and your expertise is invaluable. We do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Paul, behind the scenes at Atoa, thanks very much for hosting this for us. Paul, as ever, I'll see you later. Thank you, everybody. Paul, do you want to say some final words?
Yeah, just a big thanks to everybody for joining and to our fabulous panelists. We'll grab you again. Nature tourism is here to stay and it's going to become more and more important. So thank you all very much. And
thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.
All the best. Bye.